I wanted to talk about why so many people had a really difficult week this past week. Remember that what we're talking about in this class, the focus of this class is ourself, that we are human, we're doing the best we can, but there's also influences. So, and all of that is influenced by driven actually by our personal astrology, our energies, the things that we brought in to work with in ourselves in this lifetime to accomplish what we came here to accomplish, i.e., our destiny. But then there's also the transiting astrology and how it hits your chart every single minute of the day. Now, we're not having to think about our astrology every single minute of the day because it's most of the time our life isn't that important. But what I want you to know that there are times when there are things going out in the universe, and remember that the universe is unbelievably well organized, really well organized. There is nothing random in the universe. So much so that you can predict when the sun is going to come up, when the sun is going to set. There are so many predictable things that that are out there. This week was a huge week astrologically. There was a new moon, a full moon lunar eclipse. So and it was in Scorpio, and Taurus was messing with it. This was a really hard full moon with an eclipse attached to it. And I don't know anybody, this is true, I don't know anybody in my world, clients, friends, families, who didn't just go, oh my God, this is a stupid week. Now, that should be really reassuring to you, because as we do, one of the vulnerabilities of learning all of this stuff, one of the profound vulnerabilities is that because you're on this class because you want to learn about you, because all you want is to be better. All you want is to be more awake. All you want is to, do the best you can. The vulnerability of this class and this kind of work is thinking that you're really mucking it up and that you're not doing a good enough job and that you're not able to pull it off, or that you've gone backwards, or that you haven't really learned what you thought you learned. There's a couple things and so what you should know, none of that was so this week. I know every single one of you, not one of those things was in play. What was really in play was a conglomerate of astrological influences this week, some of which are a little bit longer playing, some of them are medium playing as far as time. But essentially speaking, there's a Pluto retrograde, there's Mercury retrograde, then there's the full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio with Taurus in Taurus. And Scorpio is really, really watery. So if your emotions are just like really up during a full moon, when the ellipse of the moon is shining up over that thing, but is supposed to, except it's blocked because the light is being blocked. This wasn't personal. Of course, it was profoundly personal, but most of us didn't have a damn shot this week. And it wasn't personal. what it did was it just messed with our idea of how we are and who we are, in probably in all of the right ways, except there was so much energy to this that it was really hard to stay in balance. And so I hope this helps. It isn't that you went backwards. It isn't that things aren't necessarily even as as you think they are. The cool thing is that when something like this pops up, the value of it, the thing that we get to harvest from this, is that the place where that tripped itself up, the place in us that's grieving, the place in us that feels like, you know, everything that you've gained from all of your postpartum time, the place where you're overworked and really confused about your life decision. All of those places are places where we just go, okay, I'm not exactly sure how this is hosing itself down. But in these circumstances, in these weeks, my encouragement for you is to remember there isn't any balcony high enough for this last week, by the way. I am not kidding. There is no balcony that you can go up to and just have a perspective for this week. Permission granted for humanness. But to remember that there are so many forces at play every single day that when it hits just right, you just have to surrender. And so what I do is I literally just remind myself that the sun is going to go down and then the sun will come back up tomorrow. Let's just see if we can wait till tomorrow. And if tomorrow's no different, you just, you know, just really, really, if this is how huge the world is, literally bringing it this big, just like we do our babies. You know, when a new baby is born, they come out from this really pretty contained place where they can only move just a little bit like this. They come out into this world that's so huge. Hi. They come out into a world that's so huge and they get overwhelmed. There's so much to learn. And what we do as parents, mothers, aunties, we try and make their world this big again so they can find what it is that they can manage. And so that's what we do in these times. And sometimes it's just remembering that it's organized out there. If you're doing your best, there's probably a transit, or this right now, there's like 50 million transits going on. And most of them are really huge and hard. By the way, there's this Pluto transit going on that's just really, and this is just like for everybody. And then there's just your transits and plus Mercury. So communication is going to get mucked up big time. And if you have a baby that can't talk, your baby's under the influence of Mercury retrograde too. If you've got, so I just want you to know that there's an excellent chance why last week sucked. Yeah, Lauren, go.
So when there's like a lunar eclipse or a full moon, like it was the flower moon, is it that there's going to be the most amount of energetic upheaval leading up to it, and after the moon is full, then it's done, or will there be lingering impacts?
So how that works. So the full moon this week was a lunar eclipse. It was at around 11:06 on Friday when it was exact. What happens is that there's something called waxing to full. So this is very I Ching oriented, and we're not going to get into this today. I'm going to make a note to talk about this. Hang on. We're not going to get into the energetics of it. Is actually, it's a really good question. What you're looking at is from the time the new moon finishes itself, it starts to wax to full. Now, when you get within a few days of waxing to full, you can start to feel, and and by the time you're 36 to 24 hours before that full moon, basically that full moon is the expression of just like a lot of energy that's just waiting to just like beam on out. By the time you're 36 hours out, all you're feeling is potential energy release. By the time the moon is full, there's what's happening is then it starts to fade back, over the next 2 weeks until the new moon. So, there's this 36 hours before and 24 to 36 hours after, right around the peak, that has a lot of energy. We all know this because that's when our animals go a little bit crazy. That's when, that's when we just can feel ourselves potentially a little bit more out of balance, out of control, a little bit, like that. I will offer the I Ching thing. The moon phases are really, and there's more than this, but let's just use the moon phases because most people are familiar with them. The moon phases follow something in the I Ching. The I Ching is called the Book of Changes. And one of the best tenets, one of the tenets of the I Ching is that when something reaches their maximum, it automatically changes to its opposite. So for instance, number 63 in the I Ching is after the something like after the end, or at the end, or at the end. But that's not the end of the 64 hexagrams. Actually, in fact, is number 63 is at the end or after the end. Number 64, the last one, is before the beginning. Number 1 is the beginning. Number 1 is heaven. Number 2 is earth. So it's just like it works like that. And so when you get to the waxed part of the full moon, what you end up with is, yes, Lauren, you start to head back, you've gotten to the beginning, it automatically changes to its opposite and heads that way. And this is the way, the reason I love the I Ching, the reason I love astrology is it's a way that we can all follow and learn every day about the movement of energy. Because once you understand that everything is energy, wait, everything is energy. Everything is energy. Once you start remembering to remember that concept in all of the best ways, it has the potential for depersonalizing vast amounts of your life. Now, it's never going to take away the part of your life that you are personally responsible for. But as you think about your baby is really, really fussy, your kids are having a hard time, your dog has died, you've got 93 clients in 43 hospitals, what you start to see in that is that it's not just yours. There's the global transits. Everything is really well organized. Once we really remember to remember that, we can just go, I wonder what Athea's astrology is doing this week, because she's a little out of her mind and it's really affecting me. I could find that on yours and Athea's astrology this week. Is that going to help the fact that the two of you are having a little bit of a time? No. But what it's going to do is it's going to give you information about energy movement that goes, I'm not crazy. I'm having a sucky week, but I haven't lost everything I gained. What is it that would help now? And that's the true value of so much of this information. When I was a mother, a young mother, sorry, I'm going to be a mother till I die. When I was a young mother and understood nothing, had nothing to work with, was, you know, had one of those childhoods where, you know, you just went, I literally had to start this study so that I could not only heal for myself and just really, and this took a while, but life is long, you guys. By just remembering to remember concepts, what it helped me do is also, it took a long time. I wish I had known this stuff when I was raising children, you know, like you're like this young. What it did is it made it so that my children weren't bad. Other people's children weren't bad. My life wasn't stupid. You know, it just really started to orchestrate and illustrate what humanness is, and the potential and the beauty and the rawness of what I see. That's really good. What the rawness of and the potential for what humanness and growth looks like. And that is where compassion is born. I hope this helped. I hope this gave some perspective for, you know, literally the last 7 days. I'm going to go out of order again. Because I sent each of you a chart. Did you guys in your email? You don't need to pull it up. I don't want you to pull it up right now. Please don't pull it up right now. Because what I want to do is give you a framework for this language of astrology. Now, I started you guys off hard. Not only did we start off with your traditional astrology chart, what's my sign, what's my, but I also started you out with wanted and unwanted children. Because there's a person, because what I'm trying to do is lay a foundation for you to find language inside yourself. This week is going to be easy. There are numbers of languages for astrology. And one of the ones that the ones that we're going to talk about today, by the time I'm done with today, you're going to go, I can do that. And you can literally launch yourselves into a study of you and your children self-sufficiently without having to do 30 years of work. There's a model of astrology based on 52 cards in a deck of cards. It's called the Destiny card model. Now, when I first started learning about this, I was in Bali. I was doing some work at our clinic, and I was at a cafe. And one of the things that they do over there is they copy books. And so there was this book in a cafe, and it was about this model of astrology. I had never done anything with this before in my life, and I devoured it. Top to bottom, because what I found out is that there's a way that I could explain myself and my life based on this model of care. The cool thing, and so I just took off with it over the next 8 or 9 years, What was really amazing about it, however, is that it's based on a mathematical astrology from 2000 years ago. So Robert Lee Camp actually just brought it back out. It's been buried, unknown. People haven't known about it for centuries, you know, but Robert Lee Camp found it, refreshed it, modernized it, explained it, and named it. But I remember just going, okay, is this hokey? Because in my world, if it's easy, it can't be real. In fact, so I took this whole winter where I took a deep dive into the math. I do love math. Let's hang a little left here. I love math because math represents movement of energy. There's just this, math is a particle-based energy movement system that explains our universe. And since we're desperate for an explanation for our universe, well, there we go. So I spent one whole winter learning about this math and just going, wow, it really does work. It really does match up to the traditional other languages, except it's accessible. So as we talk about about this model, I want you to just suspend the fact that we've all been to school and that it's supposed to be hard and we're supposed to be tested on it in order for it to be real, valuable, or understandable. Know that in essence, we don't have to understand a blade of grass in order to appreciate its value in our life. So I'm also going to tell you that instead of Robert Lee Camp, I am going to put a link in the chat. I think I can do that. I think I already did it. I did. This is the book that I recommend in the chat that you get. It's a downloadable book and it will help you guide yourself through. I'm going to overview the whole thing. This is so simple to learn. It's also really simple to do your kids. It's really simple to do anybody in your life. You can find anything you want. Please don't go there quite yet. I promise I just want to lay this all out so the foundation is there. It is so accessible in every way. I appreciate this version of it. I will be totally transparent. This woman was my teacher, and she basically she reframed a lot of what we're going to talk about into something that isn't a depressed male version of this system. Now, Robert Lee Camp has a lot of really valuable stuff, and we're going to talk about the resources you can do. My recommendation, because you know, is that you start with this book, because one of the things that if you decide to pursue this, that is, because this book has humanness and compassion built into it in the translation. So that's that. Why I'm going to bring us back one more time to reminding us why we're talking about all of these systems. We're talking about all these systems because for some reason, you guys all were attracted to this class, because what I hear from you all is that you're looking to live in balance the best you can in an impossible model, which is it's really hard to live in balance in a world like this. The more we understand about ourselves, the easier our life is. The more we understand about the people around us, the more forgiveness and compassion and understanding, I did that out of order, understanding, forgiveness, and compassion we can all develop and have, which leads us to more that we understand about ourselves. And the more we understand about ourselves in the next layer of the onion, the more we're going to understand about the people around us, and forgiveness and compassion leading us back to, oh yeah, but what about this in ourselves? And on it goes. The point the ultimate point here is that, are we looking to live, or are we living to survive? Now, I will submit to you that in my experience, most people that you bump into are in some level of survival mode. Some people wear it really well. Some people dress up really pretty, take really good classes in how to communicate effectively so that when they're out in the world, ... But in my experience, most people, because 85% of people are unwanted, 80, a whole lot of people are unwanted. What happens when we're unwanted is we just develop survival mechanisms. How are we going to make this work, given the fact that we haven't been given the emotional and physical care that our personal systems needed in order to live our destiny? I'm going to caveat one thing, which is, if you did not get what you needed in this lifetime, what I am not saying is that your parents were bad. It's none of my, that's not a criteria, because there's a really good shot that they didn't get what they needed, or got a whole lot of things that they didn't need. Which is the other side of this also. And so this has nothing to do with intention necessary, unless it does. What this has to do is generational legacies of unmet needs. I just want to sort of put that there. The last thing I want to say about this, unless the one thing I want you to stay aware of, and we're not going to go into it today, is that where there's a caveat in that is that 25% of the world, of people in the world, this is a very well-studied statistic, are sociopaths. Now, if you're a child of somebody who's a sociopath, what a sociopath does is they use the resources of the people around them to keep them in balance. So if you're a little kid and your mother or father is a sociopath, you're going to grow, by the time you're 9 years old, you're going to be shuffling your feet, because pretty much everything that you came into work with is going to be gone. That's a different thing than being raised by parents who don't mean it. And even sociopaths don't mean it. They just, they're just being them. So just as a reference point, this whole conversation of unmet needs, survival, and balance, I like to go around thinking that everybody's doing the best they can with what they've been given. What makes you different is that, I'm just going to say it every week because it blows me away every week. You guys are sitting around on a beautiful spring Sunday, just, wanting to know more about yourselves. Never forget that about yourself. Never forget that about yourself. That alone should be your forgiveness factor. That something in you is calling you to want balance instead of whatever survival mode you're feeling, because we all live in survival mode, by the way, on some level. What you're looking for is a sweeter balance. So, okay. Any thoughts so far? All right. I want to talk to you guys about this week's version of astrology. The destiny cards are based on the 52 cards in the deck. What we know about a deck of cards is that we have 52 cards divided up into 4 suits: hearts, clubs, diamonds, and spades, plus a couple of jokers. but I don't actually know much about the jokers. Hi, Athea. So it's 52 cards divided up into 4 suits. And in those numbers, those 52 numbers, what we know is that there are odd numbers and there are even numbers. In the deck, the way the numbers go in this astrology is that instead of ace being high, ace is low. So it's ace, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then there's the royalty cards, Jack, Queen, and King. How the energy, because everything is about energy, how the energy goes is that the most powerful cards have a lot of energy, and the aces are not low energy, but their royalty cards have a very different energy than just the ace through 10s. And then the other thing that you should know as you're learning about this is that, and I have every single one of your stuff here. We're going to talk about every single one of you. Don't worry that this is personal to you today, so that you can really relate to this. And I don't want you to read your chart right now, because what I want to do is because I know every single one of you, I want you to be able to like touch you in this interpretation today, so that when you hopefully get the book that I recommend, it's $30, it's a download, or you can get it in hardcover too. I don't even know how much. I just made an assumption that all you guys are so young that you all do download everything, but sorry if I presumed. That as you are looking and listening about this, here's a really something to listen for. Even numbers are a stable number, regardless of how low or high they are. And odd numbers have a restlessness to them. And neither one of those are bad. It's just, it's not like, oh, state, because remember also that you're just you. So you're not your card, you're not your number, you are you. And what this astrology model does is it sort of helps explain your personality a little bit easier from an astrological standpoint that's not so dense as the other languages. So in order of seasonal maturity, it always starts with the hearts. The hearts represent spring. Then it goes to clubs that represent the season of summer. Diamonds are the fall season. And then spades are the last one. They're sort of like this, the people who have spades as part of their makeup basically have a conglomeration of all of the other suits. So that's how we're thinking about this. Let's dive into this. I'm going to actually give each of you, you can grab a pencil, or grab whatever you get. That was an old woman thing to say. So that as I talk about all of this, you can take notes about you, and then we'll get to you also. But the beauty of this is that I don't know what I was about to say. So tell me when you're ready. I will start with Lauren because you're there, and I'll wait for Sam to come back. Lauren, what we have is 2 different cards that are our main cards. There's our birth card, which is sort of like our sun sign. But remember, this is a different language, just different energy movement. So our birth card is literally the thing that expresses that we came here to express out and use as our strength. And then there's our personality card, which is underneath it. One last thing about this, the sun card is the thing that we should be operating from to get us where we're going. And the personality card is sort of like the supporter of the person of the part of you in the driver's seat. So the birth card should be in the driver's seat, and the personality card should be the navigator, should be the support person. The other piece that you should note is that if your personality card is stronger, is a higher number than your birth card, what's going to happen is you're going to have a little bit of a harder time getting your personality under control. So for instance, my birth card is a 2 of clubs and my personality card is a 4 of diamonds. When I'm out of balance, that looks a really specific way. Welcome to my last 10 days. And I'll get into a specific story about that. But just remember, as I'm giving you your birth card information, as you're reading about yourself in your report, know that if your birth card is lower than your personality card, keeping the aspects of your personality under as the support instead of the driver might be part of the reason you might have a little bit of a difficult time getting through. So Lauren, you have that problem. I'm starting with Lauren because Lauren and I have a long history and like as talking about this stuff, so I don't feel bad about using you. You have a 3 of spades as your birth card and a 7 of spades as your personality card. I'm going to go through every single one of you. Don't worry. Okay. So your personality, so when you, so that when you are out in the world, your personality is the thing that's trying to drive the car, even though your destiny is really going to be expressed and found through your birth card, which is a 3 of spades, but there's enough of a gap there that you struggle with it. And you're going to get it. As I was reading your astrology this morning, I was just like, this is cool. And welcome to where you are now, by the way. So, and it explains why you have the question you have today, by the way. When you said it's just like, maybe I did this, you're going to just go, dude, maybe this astrology thing is something. Tori, you have the same problem. You're fine. Your birth card is an ace of diamonds. And your personality card, your planetary ruling card is what it's called, is a 5 of hearts. The issue you have is not only that differential between your birth card and your personality card, but you also have, you sweet thing, your personality card is stronger. It's a 5 of hearts, and you're not supposed to come from your heart in the world. You're supposed to come from a different place. So you not only have a differential, your personality card is going, no, let's do it from here. And your spirit just goes, yeah, that's not the roadmap, dude, except you're an ace of diamonds, and it's not nearly as loud as your 5 of hearts. We're going to get to it. Meryl, my friend, you don't have this problem. You have this is really interesting. Your birth card is an 8 of diamonds. Buckle up, sister. You're going to be fine. And your personality card, your planetary ruling or your personality card is a 3 of hearts, which is going to explain everything in a few minutes, because I mean, it was so fun to know all of you and to read your astrology this morning. Sam Kendall, where are you? Oh, there you are. Sam, I know you and I have talked about this a little bit, Ms. Kendall. You also don't have the differential. In fact, you have a really interesting astrology. You and I have a well, actually, you're a Queen of Hearts as your birth card, which means you're fucking royalty. Oops. I'm recorded. You're royalty. You're a queen. You're a queen of hearts, for God's sake. And you know this about yourself. You're just like, you are the head of that family from royal as the female. And you're a 10 of clubs. The interest and the thing is that your planetary ruling card is in pretty good support of your birth card. We're going to talk about it. And then Mr. Guccione, you are you're a little bit interesting because your birth card is a 9 of clubs. No, you're a 9 of clubs. But your planetary ruling card is stronger than your birth card. You're a 9 of spades. And so you're pretty well balanced in general, except your planetary ruling card wants to just like gather it all up and dump it into your communication. So you're the most balanced of everybody. And if anybody wants to look me up, because in my world, I figure if I know your astrology, you have every right to know mine, because when I know your astrology, it's a matter of undressing you. So feel free. My birth card is a 2 of clubs, and my planetary ruling card is a 4 of diamonds. So, all right. As we think about, where do I want to go? Let's start with, who wants me to start with them? And if that's going to be the case, you have to unmute and just say me, please. Before next week.
It started with me.
Oh, I'm going to start with Meryl. Go, unmute Meryl. So, Ms. Sherman, I just want to let you know that each of the 4 suits, this is for everybody, has a certain quality to them. And I'm going to send you stuff about this so that you don't have to take notes. Just feel it, you know. People who are hearts they're the youngest of all of it's the youngest energy of all 4 suits. The hearts represent love, relationship, tenderness, but people who have a hearts either in their birth card or their planetary ruling card also tend to have an over idealized idea of love and relationships. It's a really hard thing to manage. Hearts represent the springtime, that people who have hearts in their lineup come from a more emotional place. Decisions are made from a more emotional place. They're heartfelt. I mean, they make amazing mothers. You know, people who are hearts are just like, it doesn't mean you're a good mother or a bad mother. It's just like there's that whole mother thing is a pretty natural thing for you. The other thing about if you have hearts in your lineup is people who are hearts are open to new experiences. It's spring. What's new? like what's new. They're into exploration of what's new. It's just like, you know, what's starting to pop up from the ground after the long winter and everything just died back and got cold. It's everything is starting new. The flip side, because there's always two sides, there's vulnerabilities and there's strengths, is that people who have hearts somewhere actually have a tendency to hold grudges and or blame people. This is one of the places where you can easily get into victim mode. The victim mode thing is a real vulnerability for anybody, but hearts, because, you know, because our over idealization of relationships and connection can really get us into trouble. The clubs, I'm coming back to you, Meryl. I just realized that I needed to, I forgot to do this. People who are clubs represent the summer part of the year. Think of clubs as the students of life. So if you have clubs anywhere in your chart, or your children do, know that they came here to learn. They literally came here to learn the stuff. They're lifelong learners. They are students, and they just want to know about how it's going to be. And when they're dying, they're just going to go, so what's next? What do I need to do? And then they really, really want to communicate what they've learned. They're good teachers. They're good social network people. They're people who just, you know, like the relaying of the communication. They're really into ideas, original ideas, coming up with ideas and growth, and sharing their ideas. The flip side of a club is loneliness, because if you don't have somebody to talk to, you get really lonely and isolated, and it can really get you stuck. The other out of balance place for a club placement in your chart is that you can become a know-it-all and get really, really stubborn. No, I know this. I learned this. This is mine. I'm going to just club you, energetically club you until you come over to my side of thinking. I'm welcome to me. You're really invested in your own ideas, and you can become really argumentative when you're out of balance. That clubbing thing is a real thing. My daughter, Devin, is a queen of clubs, and so she's royalty. And when she's out of balance, she's just like, bam, bam, bam. And she's so cool about it, because she really is aware of that. She's just like, and I'll just say, man, you're clubbing me to death. She's just like, I know, I feel like shit today. So that again, so the idea of summer with clubs is that it's, oh, there's a spider on my wall. I hate spiders. Okay, I'm gonna try not to pay attention to that, dude. The thing about the clubs is, remember that once spring has sprung, that's when things grow, ideas and new things grow. It's like a no longer an emerging thing. It's just like, let's grow this idea kind of thing. Let's spread the information, let the seeds go. The third suit is diamonds. Now, diamonds are focus on value and integrity and quality. Now, Robert Camp, the guy who, you know, did this whole, you know, put this back out, focuses on money when it comes to value and value. This actually has a deeper meaning than just money. This has what is every single thing that, if you have a diamond in your system, what is the value of this in my life, to humanity, wherever it is that you're focusing your stuff? that diamond quality, where is the value and integrity in this? Does this have value? Where does it have value? How is this going to contribute to something? Will this be helpful? Now, very often that actually does have to do with money. People who are diamonds really like, it's just an easy worldly way to put a way to value something. I use that word too much. I'm thinking of another word and I can't find it, on something. So, so it does have stuff to, do with finances. Is this, so other questions that come up with a diamond quality is this a real thing? Is this, this has to do with, as you're in a relationship, as you're in a job, as you're in anything, is you're going to be thinking about, like comparing, this isn't really enough in order for me to, there's going to be all these comparisons and value assessments. One of the biggest, we're going to get to me. My personality card is a 4 of diamonds. It's a really stable card. And one of the things that a diamond can do, Bobby, if you laugh, I'm going to unfriend you forever. One of the things that a 4 of diamonds will do is, because they're so stable as a 4, an even number, what you tend to do is ignore your own health and well-being in order to gather up as much as you can gather up. We'll get into that more. And the other vulnerability is that a diamond will end up working only for money. And that actually has its own vulnerability for your own destiny. It's not wrong to work for money, but that can't be the deciding factor. Welcome to my life right now. And that's a real thing. I'm gonna get self exposing later. And then the spit, like, what does out of balance look like? It's not just this, I feel like I'm having a bad day. It's just like, what is it when you are literally living from a place out of balance, where one day you wake up and go, when are you gonna just like move that around a little bit, Bramhall? Then there's a spade. The spades are the most powerful of all of the suits in the deck. It's basically, it's expressed in the winter, as the season of winter. A person who is in a spade, who has spades in their chart, basically is here to learn from all the past 3 seasons. And spades are really powerful energies. And so what they're here to do is use their power, use all the information that they just they're in their life, they're gathering all these energies from all of the other suits into their own package of how am I going to use all of this, or how am I going to misuse all of this? The person who is in a spade, has spades, is always considering how to use their power. What's the best use of their power? They have a lot of power. So Lauren Godfrey has a 3 of spades. It's we're going to get to her because she's a really good example of this. So so that's that. I'm sorry I went out of order. Now, Meryl, I would love to talk about you. So as a reminder, Meryl, you're an 8 of diamonds, and and your birth chart, and you have a 3 of hearts as your planetary ruling card, what's really sweet about, I didn't read your whole chart. I was just like reading about, just like so much of this is impression right now. So if you think about that, if the numbers go lowest to highest, and even numbers are stable. So remember last week, is it okay to pull in something from last week? I was so struck by your role in the family perception that you are catastrophe. There is zero in what I have ever known about you that's like that. Now, we all have our patterns and stuff, but as an 8, what you think about, so a table has 4 legs, right? You're like a double table. You are so steady and so solid energetically. The problem is that people with what happens with 4s and 8s anywhere in your chart is that people are going to feel like they could just put their stuff on your table. Let's just, oh, Meryl can handle it. Let's just put this. No, give it to Meryl. She can know. And your table, and you're a double table. And so it's just like, let's put your stuff on the table. Like Meryl will carry it, and all of a sudden, and the risk for you isn't catastrophe. It's that you just go, that's my table, not yours. And as a diamond, the vulnerability for you is thinking everything has value, and that you can handle it, and that you'll sort it out. You're strong enough to do that. Your chart's really interesting. I'm interested to hear your impressions of it. And I want you to get that book, because in Mary's book, hang on a second. I think I want to look you. I think I'm going to look you up. Give me a second. Give me a second. Where are you? Da, 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 da. Here you are, right here. You're an 8.
In a minute.
And the interesting thing about you too is how old you are. So you're in your North Node now, and you and Lauren. I'm going to do a separate class for you and Lauren about, and anybody else who wants to do North Node stuff. But Tori, you're in a different place. It's going to be really interesting for you, because you're in a lot. You're going to laugh at this, and just to hang out with it, just feel it. And you don't have to know it yet. You're 40 this year. Yeah.
Still 39.
You're still 39. In 4 years, this is going to haunt you in the best ways. Okay. Astrologically, you ready for the first line of the 8 of diamonds? The power of the 8 compared with diamonds clearly adds up to financial power. That, see, the only difference between that and where you are now is you are still fresh in your North Node. And I know this because Lauren Godfrey, when I was trying to talk to her about this when she was early in her North Node, was just like, this doesn't make any sense, and it's not supposed to yet. My daughter Devin is just like, Mama, don't. So there's a timing about this, but know that inherently, by the time you're firmly in your North Node, this 8 of diamonds for you, Meryl, because there's a second piece of this amazing chart that you came in on, Miss Stable Sherman, is that is just a few years away. You just need to buckle up for a few more years, but that you're well on your way. Yeah, so balanced and steady, blah, blah, blah. So your 3 of hearts in your planetary ruling card is very interesting, because again, these are all just impressions I get. Your astrology, yeah, there's all the stuff you read, but then remember at the beginning of the course where I said, always ask people who can't help but love you about you. And so your 3 of diamonds, even though so your 8 is in the driver's seat. You're powerless over this. Sorry. You have no choice about what I just said. Your 3 of diamonds, you're going to get where you're going to be with this whisper of a 3 of three of hearts,
Mhm.
as sort of the whisper of, no, let's go here. No, let's go here. You have this energetic whisper up to your table load right now. You're just loaded up. I mean, until you're 40 years old, we just load ourselves up. The first 5 years of your 40s takes care of all of that. Ask Lauren. But that 3 of diamonds is the support to that driver for you. It's not so strong that it's just gonna go, no, let's do this, no, let's do this, no, let's do this, no, let's do this. Like Bobby has a 9 and a 9. And so in his earlier years, he doesn't have this anymore. But in his earlier years, it's just like vying for who gets the louder place. You just have this sweet little whisper just going from your heart, from your relationships. You're probably going to get there through relationships. It was so striking to read your stuff this morning. And I recommend that you're going to read the report I sent you. It's a report from Robert Camp. Get the damn book and read from that, because I think you're going to really, really feel like, I think it's going to offer you the aha. Okay.
That's very helpful.
Yeah. So you've got this, you and one other person here who's never on here, so whatever, have this space. So I'm going to offer a North Node class that's separate from this. I teach, that's like my favorite class to do of all, because most people just get to their 40s and just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life. And it's just like, it's in your chart, sister. So, okay.
I would love that.
Yeah. Knowing what our conversations, I think this is going to be really helpful. Yeah. Questions? Cool. Did this seem to enlighten certain things is this making sense so far to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Mr. Guccione, let's do you, because I bumped you from number 1. So, what do you want to talk about? Do you want me to? So Bob is a 9 of clubs, and as a driver, or as a person, as a birth card. And he's a 9 of spades as a personality card. So, but Bob's been working with this for a long time, and a really long time, like a couple of decades. And so and plus when you get old, certain things we all get under control a little bit easier. What do you want to you want to talk about your 9 of clubs, Bobby?
My 9 of clubs makes seeking of knowledge from any place. I hate to say mandatory, but it's like an autopilot thing. So I will always seek out whatever it is. And sometimes it makes me susceptible to like buying stuff that's wanting to provide me with intelligence on whatever it is. And then sometimes it's worthless, sometimes it isn't, but nonetheless, it also, I think, opens up for me, using my own experiences, at least as it comes to teaching people in the gym. In some respects, by what I've done, I have created sort of my own knowledge. Like you can go in and find knowledge out from either books or some instructor someplace. And then eventually, if you're paying attention at all, like you can work up, or you do get your own stuff. So on some of the exercises and stuff that I teach people, like I have stuff that I invented that I do. And I may not have cooked it up and thought about it. It is what I'm going to tell you, because it could have come from someplace else and they just put it in there, but I was paying attention, so I picked up on it. And when I tell people that in a class, I tell them like where I learned it, and if it's mine, I tell them it's mine. I said, I learned that. I said, no one taught me that, or, you know, I'll correct that. It could have come from somewhere, so that I do that. But it's, yeah, it's just a thing. It has life.
So the thing that you just heard Bob describe is actually, he just described himself as the Bob package. The Bob package, he started out by explaining the 9 of clubs and ended by explaining, and then he moved immediately into the 9 of spades. So the 9 of clubs was, you know, gathering information. He's helpless about gathering information. What is the thing that I need to learn today? Because clubs are all about communication and they're students of life and all of that. The interesting thing that he then automatically couldn't help but go into was his planetary ruling card, or his personality card, which is somebody who cannot help but get creative about it. So a 9 of spades has a lot of creativity to it. They're just going to develop their own thing, because 9s by nature have some mysticism and some spiritual teacher kind of stuff involved in it. And so, sorry, I just, and so he just literally, and because his 2 cards are, they're almost on top of each other. What he just described is, let's just gather information. A lot of my information comes from a place I don't understand, even though I look it up. And then I'm just going to make it my own because I can't help it, and then share it with everybody. Because the other thing about a 9 is that they're just going to like give everything, give stuff away just because they can't help but help it. It's this, and he's a really, Bob's story is a really good example of when 2 cards are working side by side. Now where it can get into, so the other thing about a 9 is that it's all about completions and endings. So a lot, you would expect a 9 at some point, at various points in their life, to find an ending to something, a completion. And now this could be something that's completed inside themselves, some a way of living, but it's really personal. So there's this cosmic knowing about stuff. Bob actually, I can't tell you the number of times I've heard Bob say this, I don't even know where this came from, but it wasn't from, or he'll, more recently, he starts saying, they told me to, you know, it's just like, you know, there's just this connection to the other side of the veil, which 9s often have a lot of access to. But along with that, a 9 has to be willing to just like have certain things that they've thought were important to them end in their life. And a lot of times it's a way that they are, or whatever that is, but always by trying to hang on to it, they're going to hold themselves back. How'd I do, Bob?
Yeah, that's actually pretty close. So like, and that's accurate. And you know, a lot of times in session, I'll ask myself, should I do X, Y, and Z with somebody? And it'll come in, yes or no. It's like, don't,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't even, I don't even know, but and as far as, you know, traveling, like I learned all my kettlebell stuff in St. Paul, Minnesota, because that's where the home base of Pavel was at the time. And I didn't really think twice about going there. It's not like I'm the traveling man. Some people know, but here I am, you know, going there, or I wanted to learn how to fight and for real, and I went to Arizona for that. And it was just really looking for stuff to know, I guess, you know, is what, and
Yeah.
I would go anywhere, you know, where the best are. I'm fortunate that to know some of the stuff I know, I only had to go to the Cape.
Nice.
Yeah, which is pretty good. Yeah.
He lives in Western Mass, you guys.
Yeah.
Lauren, Tori, or Sam, who's up? Go, Lauren. I have so much to explain about your life right now. You have to unmute yourself.
Okay, hi, I'm here.
So you
I'm
are,
not
s-
taking it.
you, yeah, it's okay. You are so powerful. You are a double spade. So one of the things that you have always struggled with, is it okay to talk about you? And don't worry, I have really good news about you. Is one of the things when I first met you that you've always struggled with is power, your own power. I'm not good enough. I'm not da 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 da, you know, like I'm never going to know enough. And do I know enough in order to blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing about you is that you have two odd numbers, you know, like where the even numbers are stable and unrockable, right? Or on some level. You're a 3 and a 7, but you're 3, oh, you make so much sense. You've got this going on, sister. Your 3 is your birth card. So it's this real powerful drive to be creative and to just hang on, I pulled you up to read you something earlier. Hang on one second. It was so much fun to hang out with you guys this morning. Hang on, give me 1 second. So your 3 is and it's why you and I get along so well, by the way. By the way, you and I, because we're both lowly numbers, I'm just a 2. Yeah, just a 2. In my family of origin, everybody. So like my daughter, Allison, was a 4, Greg was a 7, Allie's a queen. I was dog shit, you know, like no, who listens to a 2, you know? I overstate, I'm making light of this. So you're only a 3. The cool thing is about the low numbers is they're so personal. People, so everybody knows I'm one-on-one. I'm one-on-one. It's why I've always worked just one-on-one. It's what makes me a really good midwife. It's why people like me as a midwife, is because what they're telling me is personal to me, one-on-one. I'm always going to remember. And you're the same way. Now, the thing about a 3 is that it's basically, so your destiny, what you came here to do has to have something to do with creativity, because 3s and creativity, if you're not creative in what you're doing, you're not living the life you came to live, which is what all of the production was about, which is what, and the thing is as a 3 with power, you know, is it okay to talk about you? Nike calls. It like, it isn't just, you know, Joe Schmo down the hut. Can you do some production for some commercials for me from Sam's sneaker shed down the road? It's just like your power. You might only be a 3, but you're like packed with power. And that's what it's personal to you. You're going to give it everything because because every time somebody calls you for protection, you don't do anything but that ever, right? And it just, and is this making sense so far? And you're incredibly articulate. The thing is that where that gets tricky is that with all that power, there's the and the creativity, there's a vulnerability to finding the balance between that creativity and just like going for it, like dumping everything into that and overworking.
Yeah.
Right. So know that that's the thing you came here to. You're going to express your life from that creative point, no matter what you choose to do. We're still getting to it. Don't worry. Because a 3 has a creativity from a mental place. So which you already know about yourself. Your personality card is a lot stronger, however, and that's where you've always felt vulnerable. You have a 7 of spades as a personality card, and number one, a 7, my dear, a 7 has an innate desperation for spirituality.
Mm.
It's also a really weird card. It's a really strange card. It's energetically, people will find you odd. But they're finding you odd because you wake up every day as a 7, and this is every 7, not we'll get to the spade thing later. But a 7 is going to wake up every day. I'm going to overspeak, thinking like, where do I get God today? Where's God having coffee? Right? And that's going to make you unreadable to a whole lot of the population. Most people wake up and just go, wonder if Gwyneth Paltrow's at Starbucks today. You're just like, I wonder if the dude is going to be there. It's just like, will the angels be coming too? It just makes you your frame of reference in the world, my dear old friend, odd, which is why you found me. You know, who the hell comes and lives, the trajectory of your life is a perfect expression of you. And I know that because I know the trajectory of your life. You're also a 7 is also somebody who selflessly helps. Now, the challenge you have, your vulnerability, is that you're a 7 of spades in your personality card. So your whole life you've been living from the personality part of your expression, even though every single bit of you is just like you wake up in the morning and you just go creativity, you know, like all of that stuff from your 3. But the personality just goes, no, we're going to do it this way. We're going to do it this way. And the 3 of you, the part of you that's a 3 just goes, no, wait, but nobody listens to a 3, right? And so you get, your personality gets up here. And this is a really good expression of, because the 7 of spades, I'm going to actually read to you about the 7 of spades. Okay. You're going to get this. The 7 of spades combines the search for spirituality with the power of the spades. Like all spades, there's also some need to be in control combined with a desire to remain independent. You live in a different world. We already did that. When the 7 of in balance, the world of the 7s is sort of suspended between the realities of physical, between here and there, you know, like you're looking for God at Starbucks. I don't know where I just came up with that, but I think that's pretty sure. When the Seven of Spades feels insecure, they have an urgency to try and control people and situations around them in order to soothe those fears. And that can be a difficult thing to manage. The thing is, here's the thing that's really cool about you as a Seven of Spades in support of the 3, is that a Seven of Spades in balance, your highest expression, is one of the things that you are rock at is the ability to see what somebody needs, find the resources, pass it on, and move on. So the cool thing is after all these years of knowing each other, you're actually more at peace now with how to manage all of that than I've ever known you. You're just like, I have 4 people, I have 4 different hospitals, not sure how that's going to work out. Let's get creative about this. And then the Seven of Spades is just going to go, what do we got to work with? So like, I hear your vulnerability right now, and I just sit back and I'm just go, I'm going to watch how this is going to be good. Let it roll. I mean it. I am not even being nice to you. Like, I got your message yesterday when you were just like, can we please just talk? And and then you said the thing this morning where it's just like, I just read about you. I'm just gonna sit back and admire you. Look at that, Lauren. She's gonna figure that out. And again, it's not always gonna be easy, but the vulnerability you have is with a Seven of Spades, you're worried that you're not gonna be able to control it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually the least important aspect of the question. But I still invite you to call me afterwards. We'll sort it out together. Did that make sense to you?
Yes, 100%.
Buy the book. The book is amazing.
Oh.
Because because there's so much more in here about all of this. But as an overview, my friend, I don't worry, especially because you're in your North Node. We have to do a North Node class together, okay? We're gonna take a deep dive into that.
Thank
Because
you.
you're actually, because Lauren, you're 47 now. Because you're actually about at the point where your miracle is. Like, you're this close to everything that you've been working toward. You're probably just at the apex right now. Okay. And the thing about a 3 and a 7, a 3 and a 7 of Spades is that, what the hell was I just about to say? A 3 and a 7 of Spades. Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. If I remember it, I'll come back to it. Yeah, I wish I could remember because it occurred to me earlier too. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Tori, Sam, who's next? How about actually,
Also, or Tori,
Okay.
if that's what you were gonna say, that's fine.
actually, can we take a 5-minute break? Let's take a 5-minute break. As you guys move forward in your exploration of this very accessible astrology system, what I want to reassure you about is that there's a lot of things you can learn about each other. Like, you'll be able to, when you get the book, you'll be able to look up your children. You'll be able to look up your parents. You'll be able, like, if you look up my parents and me, of course I'm the independent in the family. There's no place for me to match up with them. So just stay curious, get to start with yourselves. Don't go all big and global. Just start with yourselves and let the questions ask themselves, okay? I think I just ran out. I think we did it today, unless there's, I mean, what do you guys want to talk about it? Are there any questions left over? Feel free to find me, by the way. And if you have burning questions about your children, you find me and I'll run their reports and send them to you.
I'm gonna take off. You guys have a wonderful week. Thank you.
We'll see you next week, dear.
Bye.
Call me if you want to.
I will. Thank you.
Okay. Anything left over, you guys? Okay, I'm assuming that's a no. Meryl, do you have something?
No, it's just, if I read all of the suits, I would probably be like, okay, I'm drawn to this one and that one, it's just interesting.
Yeah, and remember that this is an overview, so.
Yeah, yeah.
And send me the decision you're making. Call me with the decision you're
yeah.
making.
Okay.
Okay, I'm around all
Yes.
afternoon. Let's see if it's a person decision, let's see if we can find that.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want.
It's more
Tori,
of
how-
a place, but yeah,
Say that again.
it's more of a place and places and people. So yeah, definitely.
Nice. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, your astrology is gonna probably tell us whether. That's what I'm trying to think of. Try not to make a decision until the 17th unless you have to.
Mm-hmm.
The 17th of May is when people can probably feel better about making decisions that will be
Mm-hmm.
sticking themselves out.
Yes, I have time. So
Yeah, string them along. When we needed to sign our lease for our birth center, we were dead center in the middle of
Mhm.
Mercury retrograde. Everybody was just like, no, you have to. It was just like, we're not signing anything until after this has gone away. Just FYI. It will make you even more ununderstandable. You're welcome. Tori, what do you got?
Nothing. This was really good, and I loved hearing about the whole like Mercury retrograde, Pluto retrograde, and the full moon and lunar eclipse, because that really helped explain everything that we were going on with the death of our dog and us trying to make the right decision. And it kind of reassured that we made the right decision in that moment, and that it wasn't like just to let her
Yeah.
linger on would have just been more suffering. And it ended up coinciding perfectly with the full moon. Her death was like right before the full moon, so it was like you said, you have hit your apex, and then it's like the release afterwards. And just yesterday was, although super sad, us putting her into the ground, it was like really peaceful and like felt like a weight was lifted almost. So, and of course you second guess, you're like, did we do the right thing? Should we have let her suffer for longer? But no, this is like reassurance that it was all meant to be. So
Two pieces of possibility. You want them?
yeah.
Our animals have really, 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 really simple systems, like energetic systems. They're really simple. They're uncomplicated, and our pets would never leave us because they know that it will make us sad. It's just that simple inside them. So what they rely on us to do is help them make that decision for them.
I'm gonna tell Dylan that. So
Okay, number one. Number two, you ready for the UFO music here? Our pets are our pets for this lifetime. So that dog has been with you before, and he or she will be back, and you'll actually know it. They will be, and in fact, because that dog, what's the name of the dog?
Lady Jane.
Lady Jane actually is a soul that has not bumped up into a human form yet, because we all start from a star, and then we have to gather up information, cause and effect, lifetime after gajillions of lifetimes. It starts with with a life expression as little as a tick. And you have to just like, every soul has to move its way up and move its way up and move its way up and move its way up over thousands of lifetimes. And then finally, right before you're about to break from the animal kingdom into the human kingdom, that there's no, that dog, Lady Jane, did I get it right? Lady Jane, basically signed up for you as her person to help her continue on her evolutionary journey in this lifetime. So she will be back and you'll actually recognize her, even if you don't know that you will. So my cat Lily died about 7 years ago. And I was just like, I'm never going to get another cat ever again. And I just go, well, 2 years later, we have a granite cellar, and I have an herb clinic down there, an herb lab down there. And it was a really rainy spring, and the rats came in. Now, my house is spotless, right? Like, sorry. I'm sorry. And the rats came in my cellar and trashed my herb lab. It was just awful. And I came upstairs like, the rats have done. Tom very gently looked at me and said, you know, we don't have a cat anymore. I was like, I'm never getting another cat. A month later, because I can't stand the rat thing and they're too smart for traps and all the things. I found this set of twins at this shelter who were 8 weeks old, about the time when the rats trashed the cellar. And we went, and Tom was just like, we're only getting one. It was just like, midwives don't separate twins. Sorry, that's never going to happen. Well, I brought them both home. And about a month later, I was just like, there you are. What's interesting is when I was burying Lily, Lily was the meanest son of a bitch cat you've ever met. She was so mean. Any cat comes within a quarter of a mile of my house, she would chase them away. Like, she was meaner than anything in that regard. So when I was burying her, I said, you got it. When you come back, remember that you need to work on this. So she came back as a sibling with 2 cats in the same house. She would attack my daughter's dog. So it's a really, and of the 2 cats, I'm very clear which is Lily's spirit. And she brought a friend who I don't recognize, by the way. I don't recognize a friend. I know that I signed up for this friend somehow. So I promise you that Lady Jane relied on you to help her get out of here, because she would never have hurt you like that.
Yep.
And she'll be back
Thank you. Yeah.
probably until you die.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you.
let's all go outside. It was wonderful to be with you.
Bye, everyone.
I can't wait till next week. Thanks, Bobby.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.